And okay. Hi, welcome to the newest episode of Sports Talk Central. My name is Adeep Mahmood with my normal co-host Hunter, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about MLB, some of the Ravens' schedule, initial reactions, and then we're going to be talking about some new shakeups in the Virginia Tech coaching staff. So let's start with struggles of the Orioles and Nationals last week. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just this team is really not that good right now. Josh Bell has been a very major disappointment since coming over from the Bucks. There was just a thing against the Phillies. It looks like they're about to come back. They load the bases. Then Josh Bell strikes out on almost 3 pitches. It's just like, man, and he's batting like 167 this year. Ryan Zimmerman, who's a pinch hitter, same position, batting like almost like 260. I think it's almost 300. They need to sit Bell for like at least a series. He can't be. You can't keep trotting him out there hoping that this changes. Ryan Zimmerman is a better bat, and he's still a good fielder. I understand you gave up a lot to get Bell. I mean, I get it, but if you want to get this right with him, you just got to make sure that you rest him for a few days. I mean, at least most of the pitching staff is actually going okay. Scherzer's still chugging along. Corbin finally had a good game. I mean, they finally beat the Phillies the other day. Thank God. But it's just not a good team right now. And you're seeing that with that sweep against the Braves and then losing 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. Seeing a homer give up to Bryce Harper just makes me grossed out because, just always seeing him in that uniform is nasty. But they're just, I don't know, they're just not playing well. And, if this continues all the way to the deadline, they may have to make some very difficult decisions. I really don't have much else to say on the team. They're just not that fun to watch. I mean, at least it's nice that Trey Turner is playing well. He's going to get a huge contract really soon, if it's here or somewhere else. Hopefully it's here.
You got him, and you have Soto.
In 3 years, so they have a little bit of time with him. But Turner, I think,
he gets more expensive. He can get expensive real fast.
I think Turner is up in a year, if I'm not
mistaken. He is. No, not this year, but a year from now.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting decision. I hope they bring both back. That's obviously the goal, but like I said, at least he's been fun to watch. Schwarber's been all right, but yeah, Bell has really struggled, and I mean, also Brad Hand really threw away a couple games earlier this week.
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing is, I know you're not going to want to hear this comparison, but you know who the Nationals remind me a little bit of?
Oh God,
the 2017 Eagles.
Oh yeah, I guess that's so in a way.
Because when you think, because I'm looking at some of the stats I have on them, they're 14th in overall ERA, 8th in opponent's batting average, and 12th in opponent's WHIP. I mean, on offense, like 6th in average, that's pretty good. 15th in on base, that's decent. I mean, you could be better. 19th in slugging percentage, that's not.
Get to the one where they're 30th in. It's bad.
Yeah. But I mean,
all their stats are not bad, but they're just not hitting with runners in scoring position. That's the biggest thing.
I think that's
but they can't drive them in. That's been their biggest issue this year.
Yeah, and then and then the thing that's surprising was the 14th in ERA. Like you have Corbin, you have Strasburg, you have I mean your bullpen's not bad. You have Scherzer. I mean, like 14th, like that's. And I'll get to the Orioles, and that kind of shows you how relatively pedestrian, I wouldn't say bad, but pedestrian they've been.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Orioles, we lost 3 out of 4 to the Red Sox, and I think we got swept by the Mets. Granted, one of those was Cesar Valdez gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th. But I mean, it's definitely, you could tell it's a young team. Like pitching wise, it's pretty good. John Means has been good. Matt Harvey, he's kind of had a couple of bad starts now, but it's Matt Harvey. Like the expectations aren't there. They're cycling in these their rookie pitchers like Zach Lauser. Good rookie. I mean, the guy struck out a ton of batters, but he throws 89 to 92. So you're talking about a guy that needs that pinpoint control, and he needs to get ahead of batters. And then in his first career start, he didn't have that pinpoint control, and he was getting behind batters. So you could imagine Red Sox were just teeing off on him. And then, pitching wise, they're not bad. Given that they're young, a lot of these guys are rookies. A lot of these guys have had 10 career starts prior to this year. I mean, going back to the point I was about to make, you're saying Nationals are 14th in ERA. The Orioles are 17th. And when you look at the difference between the two pitching staffs, the Nationals have way more experience than the Orioles. that you can't tell from experience that there are only 3 spots of difference between them. But I mean, their bullpen's not bad. I mean, Valdez has been solid. Paul Fry has been good. I mean, really the only downsides have been Tyler Wells, but he's a Rule 5. Sean Armstrong, who's not good. Adam Plutko, who's actually been underrated as a reliever. I think he has like a 1 ERA or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of like the guy that you bring in like in that 6th inning to get your team get out of the situation. And then offensively, they do not hit well with runners in scoring position. Trey Mancini's heating up. He has most of the RBIs. Michael Franco started off really well, but he struggled. He struggled recently. And then you have Cedric Mullins is doing a good job. Ryan Mountcastle's heating up. I can't wait until Anthony Santander comes back. And so it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. I'll be curious to see what moves they make. Whether a guy like John Mike Jones comes in at second to replace either Ramon Ruiz or Rio Ruiz, because we're not getting much production there. And then so pretty much we have a young staff that's getting overpowered pretty quickly. Our offense it's not good clutch hitting. We get our runs in 2 or 3 innings, and the rest it's a bunch of zeros. But we'll see what happens the remainder of the season. They're still on pace to win around 70 games, which I'm thrilled. I'll be happy with. Like if the Nationals win 70 games, that's a disappointment. If the Orioles win 70 games, you're probably giving Mike Elias or Brandon Hyde an extension.
Yeah.
So
if they win 70 games, I'll be a little triggered.
Yeah, and then they play the Yankees this week, and then they play, and I believe Orioles and Nationals play in Nationals Park next week as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that should be a fun series.
Yeah, and then so let's talk about the other main story, which is that the Athletics might move out of Oakland. So the situation here, from what I understand, is that the league
sucks. Is what it is.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing though. It goes further than that. So their lease runs out in a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
So what they said was, okay, we want to redo our stadium. So they actually have a plotted land. I forgot where it is, but it's gonna be really expensive because there's gonna be like hotels nearby. It's meant to drive business in that area of California. Now, the city of Oakland has not approved that stadium. And the fear is if they don't approve of that stadium, that might not be made until 2027. So, because like it's right now a concept. That's where the stage is right now. They're at the conceptual stage of the stadium. So what they said was, if we don't get this, we don't know where we're playing in 2 years. This is not a baseball stadium. It's bad quality. We have a plan B that we're not getting final approval of. We might have to relocate. And I feel bad for Oakland fans because think about it. The Warriors left for Golden State. The Raiders left for Vegas.
Yep.
And the A's might move. And the question here is, where do you think they might move? Because I think it's going to be on the West Coast to maintain the AL West.
People keep saying, like, oh, yeah, Nashville. I'm like, don't really know if they're going to go out that far. Will be awesome because Nashville, that's a big baseball city, even though they don't have a team. It just screams a baseball city.
Anyway. I believe they have a AAA team, but I don't know if it's a major league team.
Yeah, they only have a AAA team. And it's just like, that town screams baseball. Like I've never been there, but just seen like videos and pictures of it. I mean, they have hockey there, obviously. The Titans are not far away, I don't think.
They're in Memphis, I believe.
Are they in Memphis? No, I thought they were in Nashville.
It might be. It's one of those two.
I'm gonna look this up real quick. Where do they play at? They are at they're in Nashville. So
right.
So they have a football team. They have a hockey team. Why not get them a baseball team? But do you really see them moving all the way out there?
No.
I've seen Montreal thrown around because of the Expos and what happened there at the Nationals. Probably won't happen. I mean, I don't really know.
I've heard Portland.
Yeah, that Portland makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, do you want to move them to San Jose? I mean, can you get somewhere out there?
But then you have Giants, Dodgers, Padres.
That's true. I mean, because I know the 49ers, they're San Francisco, and they literally play in San Jose. It's like 10 minutes.
What about Utah?
That makes sense.
Like I don't think there's a team in Nevada. I mean, the point that we're trying to make is because MLB, depending on geographically, they would have to rearrange several divisions. So like, if I think we are going to get a team in Nashville soon. I think that within the next 15 years, it's going to be a team in Nashville. I think it's going to be Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is going to move to Nashville.
That would be interesting.
Because when you think about it, I mean, you got the Blue Jays, you got New York with the Yankees, you got Boston with the Red Sox, you got the Orioles with in Baltimore. You put Nashville there, that's 5 regional teams. If you put the Oakland A's in Nashville, you now have the Houston Astros in Texas, the Angels in Anaheim, the Rangers in Texas, the Mariners in Seattle, and then the A's in Nashville. That's a really weird geographical balance.
It is, yeah. You're right. I mean, you probably are going to see multiple teams move over the next decade. I would think. I mean, Tampa Bay, they need to get out of Tropicana Field. That place is like the biggest dump I think in North America in terms of baseball stadiums.
And it's a shame because the Rays are a good team.
I know they're a great team. It really does suck. Yeah, I mean, it also sucks for the fans of Oakland because that's always been – they're mostly usually a good team, and Billy Beane really brought them from the ground up all those years ago. So, to see that team move, I think would just be really sad.
Yeah, and to make it worse, it's not like they're saying we want to move out of Oakland. It's like, no, we want to be in Oakland. We have a better stadium that's going to provide more economic rise in that area, but the city of Oakland's saying no or something like that.
Yeah, and it's just like, and the Coliseum is a dump. I mean, it's a football stadium. You literally like, it's been around forever, and it's just not good for baseball. I'm sorry, it's not.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna see if there is something there. Okay, I think I have. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen for a second, and then you'll see what it looks like, what a potential the new stadium would look like for. Yep. Yeah, I go. Yeah, do you see this stadium here?
Go to a different picture. Is that the one? Maybe. I can kind of. Oh wow, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. So that's basically
like on the water.
Yeah, that's basically what their plan is.
Oh.
So, but the city of Oakland's not right now. They're not approving that. So that's basically the big conundrum here. And then I guess we could just quickly bring up that we talked about this story a couple weeks ago with Corbin Burns for the Milwaukee Brewers. This was when he had like 40 strikeouts before giving up a walk. He actually broke the record few days ago. He struck out 58 batters before giving up a walk.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and I think he was pitching against the Cardinals, and Tommy Edman walked in the 5th. But Corbin Burns is 2-3 on the year, 1.57 ERA, 0.64 WHIP. So he's played pretty well.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of where that's the other main story. So we'll go to the next part, which is the Ravens Steelers schedule reaction, and let's talk about the Steelers first.
I guess let's talk about that end of the schedule there. 2 Ravens games in December and January. They have Cleveland, Tennessee, and Kansas City. I mean, have fun running the gauntlet there. I mean, this team is probably only going to go 10-7 this season, the way I look at it. They go 11-6, 12-5. I'd be kind of stunned. But they're probably going to fight for one of the last playoff spots. I mean, it really is a terrible schedule. If you look at those last 5 games, it's brutal. They're going to have to win a lot of tough games. You're not likely going to beat Kansas City in Kansas City. You can maybe beat Tennessee at home. Baltimore, I mean, you played Baltimore pretty well at home in a lot of recent years. Cleveland, you never really know. Minnesota, I don't really know what to expect from the Vikings, though, because, I mean, Kirk Cousins is okay, but it's just that's a tough schedule. Obviously stuff can happen where it's
you start with the Bills, Raiders, Bengals, Packers.
Yeah, the Raiders aren't that good. The Bills are obviously a tough team. The Packers, we'll see if they have Aaron Rodgers by then, though. But they say I saw it was ranked as the toughest schedule in football. I believe it. Just look at all those teams they have to play, man.
Yeah, and the first thing, that last part of the schedule is absolutely brutal. I mean, Ravens, Vikings. I mean, that's probably
teams in the last 5 to 6 weeks.
That's probably your biggest gimme win, and that even then the Vikings
at least they have the Chargers late in the season. That's always a gimme win out there too. The Chargers always. They invade the field.
Yeah, and then you have Titans.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Browns, Ravens. I mean, that's gonna be tough. I mean, like I said, this is gonna be a tough schedule. You're saying 10-7?
Yeah, 10-7 probably, maybe 11-6. One of those two records, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it's also, and I think we could kind of go more into this with the Ravens schedule, but it definitely is interesting that obviously week 3 you got the Bengals, but your first game against either the Ravens or Browns is week 8.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. Like that, you don't usually see that very often. I mean, we have 5 primetime games. That's usually not the case. They usually have a lot more, but
right.
That's how it is now. With the team let's just be real. The team is in decline.
Yeah, and then with the Ravens schedule. I mean, but before that, is there a game that you want to go? Like, you're already putting on your calendar?
Probably for my birthday against the Lions. I've already kind of circled that. To be like, hint, hint. Can my girlfriend get me tickets for that, please? But she literally said to me last year, like, if there were COVID, she would have gotten me tickets to the one against the Bengals. So hopefully that's the one I can go to. Was
that the one where the Bengals beat you guys? Or?
No, that's the one where they dumped on the Bengals like 36-7 or something.
Right. Oh wow. Yeah, and on the Ravens schedule, I mean, we have 3 primetime games in the first 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, so we have the Raiders at so the first game, I believe that's the first game at the new Raiders Stadium that's going where fans are allowed. You get to see Lamar Jackson. I mean, I think that game the Ravens win that game because Ravens rarely lose week 1. Lamar's numbers in week 1 are always great, and Las Vegas, they're weak in the middle of the field. I don't think they improved their linebackers that much. And Gus Bradley's bringing a new system, so it'll take a while. And Lamar and the Ravens offense is great in the middle of the field. I mean, so that could be a field day for Andrews. Sammy Watkins, he gets hurt a ton, but week 1, he's always good.
Yeah, that is very accurate.
Yeah, and then we have week 2 against Kansas City. I mean, that's going to be in Baltimore. That's going to be interesting. I wonder what type of reception Orlando Brown's going to get.
Probably not a good one.
No. Lions, Broncos. Broncos can be tough depending on who the quarterback is. Colts, Chargers. That's going to be interesting there. I feel like that's a span of 2 games that's going to be very crucial to how our season is going to go. Then Bengals, I actually have tickets to that game with a friend of mine. I found tickets for $31, so I found that's a pretty good bargain.
What the hell was that, man? $31 a ticket? Like, what the hell? Are you going to like a high school game or something?
I have no idea. Because I didn't want to go into like find a game in like November or December or January where I would freeze my butt off, and then I didn't want to like spend too much because me and my friend already have plans to go to an Orioles game in July, which and the tickets there, like the tickets I got were $50-something, and me and my friend is splitting the cost. So I didn't want to go and like have like my friend owe me like $200.
That's Jesus Christ.
But no, we had that. Then there's a bye week. So the first up until week 8, it's other than the Chiefs. I think that's a pretty easy schedule. I mean, there's some.
It gets obviously a lot tougher after that.
Yeah, and then the gauntlet starts I would
Yeah,
say
Steelers. Yeah.
week 11. Week 11. That oh my god, that's a other
Yeah,
than the games.
you have Browns, Packers, Browns twice, Steelers twice, the Rams. That's going to be a tough stretch.
I mean, the good thing is the Rams were playing. That's in Baltimore. So that's the good thing is that's in Baltimore. But the one thing I want to highlight is this: not only do we have Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and then Cleveland has in 12 to 14 week, it's Baltimore by Baltimore.
Jesus.
So, but not only that, but it's Cleveland, then Pittsburgh, which is always physical, and then Cleveland again.
Uh-huh.
And then if Aaron Rodgers is still with the Packers by that point, that's 3 hard-hitting games, and then you have to go against Aaron Rodgers.
Uh-huh.
So that's not going to be fun. But if there, but I also remember in 2019 we beat the Seahawks at Seattle. We beat the Patriots. No, oh yeah, it was Seahawks at Seattle, Patriots in New England. We beat the Texans, 49ers, Bills. We ran through a gauntlet of teams and we won convincingly. So, and I feel like we have a better roster. So I feel like we have a good we can win these games, especially if some of our changes that we made are there. And I also like the fact that there's so much change that's happening because with the new passing scheme, with our new interior line, more specifically Bradley Bozeman shifting from left guard to center, that's going to be really having that stretch of having that stretch of multiple of easy games will allow that transition to be there before you have the actual challenge. And because the thing is, like when you're playing the Rams, you know you have Thanos right in the middle of that defense.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see. And I know he was frankly invisible a couple years ago with the when they played in LA, but Bradley Bozeman is going to be probably shifting to center for the first time since Alabama. I don't want to. I don't, and we might be starting a rookie at left guard. I don't want to see Aaron Donald early. I want to see Aaron Donald like after 7 or 8 weeks with a consistent O line.
Mm.
So I mean, I think it's tough. I mean, I think Ravens go maybe 12-5. Like I could definitely see 12-5. If they play really well, maybe 14-3. But that's if it goes really well.
That might be a stretch. Just a
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's if our offense runs at the same high level efficiency that it did in 2019, our defense plays really well. We catch our opponents at the right time, a couple of these opponents at the right time. Then that's when you can get to that 14-3 range. But I think it's a 12-5, 13-4 type season, maybe 11-6 if the transitions are a little slower than normal. And then we'll talk about some stuff with Virginia Tech's new scouting staff. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, what was her name? Leah, I think, that joined it. I think she was like a former student that just graduated. I think that is now the head.
Leah Joseph?
Yeah, I think she was like.
I believe she was a student. I know she was.
She was.
I know she was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for her. I think she did stuff with, was it soccer or volleyball? It was one of those.
Volleyball.
Yeah, it was volleyball. Yeah. So congratulations to her. Very well deserved. I'm excited to see how it goes under her watch. You know, like I said, I'm sure she did an awesome job. I don't know much about her, but I'm sure she did an awesome job. They need their recruiting to be a lot better than it has been. We've talked about this on the show for probably over a year. Hopefully they start getting some big-time recruits.
We lost a recruiter to North Carolina as well.
Oh, yeah, I did see that, yes. As usual.
Yep. And then
go ahead.
Yeah, and then you have I mean, we'll talk about Bo Davidson a little bit, but the other guy is Lino Lopetti. The guy, I believe he was a recruiter at Pittsburgh, and then he goes University of Pittsburgh, and then goes to came to Tech. He was if that name for Tech fans sounds familiar, it's because that he was always credited with creating social media stuff, and then credited with guys like Donovan McMillan, the guy that went to Florida, the safety went to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
He was credited with a ton of these recruits.
Oh,
So
wow.
now he is and I believe he was I think he was like an unpaid guy or something, so they kind of promoted him to make sure he was still on board. So now he's the assistant director of player personnel and recruiting. Yeah, Leah Joseph is the director of on-campus recruiting. I think it's interesting that I like that they're going with younger. Like these are like people closer to our age than like people who are older. Because I think that if they went older, then we would probably be losing recruits real quickly. And the fact that she was director of operations in volleyball, she can bring that. She brings a fresh perspective into
Yes,
football.
I agree.
And then
And that's much needed for this program. I'll say that.
yeah, and then you have Bo Davidson, who is we
Big
all
tech,
yeah
Texas
big Texas
BT.
guy. Like it's a big Texas guy. So Tech fans, he was a guy that a lot of people credited for like the Tex, like why a lot of Texas recruits were interested in Tech in the first place. He got promoted to director of recruiting. Joined in 2018. So he basically joined in 2018 as offensive quality control coach. So he was an analytics guy pretty much. Then last year he was the assistant director of player personnel. That job's now, like I said, is going to Lepetti, and then he's now director of recruiting. So they're clearly shaking up the scouting staff to make it look better. Now, maybe do you think that they were planning on doing this last year, or
I
was
think it might have been. Yeah, COVID I think may have delayed it. To be honest.
yeah? A couple of other things. We did lose the
Deshaun.
assistant, um, Deshaun Crawford, yes, to go to the transfer portal. We do have I think that's one of the positions where we are deeper in,
Yep.
because especially with the guy from Clemson, Jordan Williams.
Yes.
And yeah, so that obviously you don't want to see guys being lost to the transfer portal, but he was someone that at least is that position we're deep in. But then also in basketball, and then
I did.
we'll do football. The other football thing is that Ramon Brown,
Yeah. Go
the
ahead.
four-star running back,
Mm-hmm.
he put Tech in his top 7. The other teams: Kentucky, Maryland, Virginia, South Carolina, Penn State, West Virginia. What are your thoughts on that?
I've read on Tech Scoop that it's between VT and Penn State as his top 2, and apparently Evan Watkins said that VT thinks they can pull him, which would obviously be massive if they can get him and Gunnar Givens. That would go a long way to improving the recruiting in the state. I really think so.
Yeah, and I think the one thing they should do, and I think we highlighted this when we were talking about the draft prospects. Where was Khalil Herbert going? What do you think Khalil Herbert was going to get picked if he didn't have that big season?
Honestly, I'm not sure. He might only maybe like in like a 7th round pick or something. But after that big season, you knew he was going to get picked.
Yeah, and he got picked in the 4th round. So if I'm Virginia Tech and what the speculation is correct between the choices being Tech and Penn State, I know that we've lost some battles with Virginia-based running backs to Penn State.
Yeah, they scoop up all of them, but I think this is one that they may win. I think they may have this one in the bag.
Yeah, and when you think about it, because Devin Ford chose Penn State over Tech, he's still there. And then Ricky Slade, he went to Penn State. By the way, Ricky Slade then transferred to Old Dominion, but as of a couple months ago, not there anymore.
That's right. Yeah, that played out bad for him. That's for sure.
Yeah, so hopefully we get Ramon Brown, because that would be that, because if we make that transition to that run-based offense, I think that our offense is going to be much better, because quarterbacks, I'm going to be honest, the quarterbacks that we're going to recruit over the next few years are either going to be developmental or more athletic. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
I think it is. Yeah, I think they're going to be a lot more athletic.
Yeah, so I would say that if you can have a good run game and good offensive line, that can kind of mitigate and speed up the development of these guys. So I was questioning why we were going after all of these running backs, but maybe that was the reason why. Like, someone must have told them, you're not going to get a Trevor Lawrence to come to Virginia Tech. You're going to go and get a guy who's going to take 1 or 2 years to develop. So let's use the run game to help speed up the development of some of these quarterbacks like an Alex Orjai next year or a Tosh Bullock. Because like when I look at it, Hendon Hooker wasn't developed. He didn't come in as a final product. Burmeister is now a final product. Who else? Quincy Patterson was definitely not definitely was a 2 or 3 year project. So having if we can get a guy like Ramon Brown with a Kenji Christian with some of these with the guy from South Carolina. If we can get these guys and then use the run game kind of to make it easier for the passing game, then that's great. So that's there. And then the last thing we're going to talk about in today's episode is that we did lose the assistant head coach in basketball, but the good news is I believe that we are circling a replacement, and I believe it's the same guy. It's a guy that worked at the Massa.
Yes, I believe he might be there. And apparently they have a lot of very high 4-star and even a couple of 5-star recruits there. Right
yeah,
now.
I was about to say that. Like the Massa.
Be curious to see if a couple of them follow. That would be a slam dunk hire. I was reading about it on Tech Scoop. I would be really big if Mike Young could pull that off.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, they're saying that they're targeting the Massa Catholic coach Mike Jones as the new assistant head coach. I mean, that would be great. Because especially with the fact that we had a guy that was supposed to transfer to Tech this year, Michael Durr, but then he decommitted. I mean, if we can get one of those big guys, and if we can establish a pipeline, because I think that's an important thing for recruiting. Can we establish those pipelines for some of these elite schools? Because what was that school in? I believe there was a school in Virginia that the football team kind of burned a couple of bridges. So.
Oh yeah, it was like in Virginia Beach, I think.
Was it Oscar? It wasn't Oscar Smith, right?
No, it might have been Ocean Lakes or something.
Something like that. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like there's a guy that we burned a couple bridges with, and then it's gonna be difficult to do that. I mean, hopefully it all changes, but that's pretty much all the news for this week in baseball, football, and Virginia Tech related. And
they'll watch the Stanley Cup playoffs this weekend. Hockey's playoffs begin tomorrow. A lot of fans are going to be back in attendance. Not all full capacity just yet, but with loosened restrictions like 25 to even up to 50% is expected in a bunch. So if you're looking for something to watch that's not baseball or even the NBA with their playoffs starting up soon, the NHL's playoffs do begin this weekend.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you next week at 2 or 3, depending on their schedule.
One of the two, yeah. We'll be back next week.
Right. And